All right, guys, what's going on? Zach Evnesh here, Strong Life Podcast, Dane Miller. It's been a while since I've done a video podcast, so gonna hope it all goes smooth. And I've been following Dane for a while, but recently following you on Instagram. And I may have come across some of your stuff on Facebook, and love what you do, running a garage gym out in PA. And what we want to do, guys, also, if you're new here, Strong Life Podcast, we're going to be a blend of training, blend of life. And for those of you that have been following or following on the blog, I'll put up all show notes, links back to Dane, anything that he mentions. We got some cool conversation. I know you got like your own supplements, right? Is that yours? Yep. So it's really cool, and I think when we get into this conversation, I really like what I see, what you have going on, and also events coming up, guys. This is early December, so January 20th and 21st. Travis Mash coming to the Underground Strength Gym in Manasquan. We're going to do the Barbell Boss Seminar, which is a day of training, and also where I'm going to get into the coaching aspect, how to coach others, not just the training. And then the next day is going to be business. We're going to go out to eat Saturday night. So it's going to be a weekend. The early bird registration is up, and today is December 6th. I'm going to try to get this up this week, and you guys could hopefully take advantage of the early bird registration. So that's enough commercial stuff. Also, Intech Strength sponsor, and those guys are awesome. So Dane, this is very cool, my man, and let's get a little bit into what you got going on. Garage gym, I see you training weightlifters. I see athletes, high school, college. I see you're training the Grizz, the wrestler, who I actually saw him wrestle off his freshman year at Binghamton. Yeah, so I don't know if were you working with him in high school? Yep. Excellent. It's pretty amazing because he was already, I believe, traveling with Team USA during he was at NC State, right? He moved to NC State, and it's always interesting to see that like our athletes at the Olympic level, they're not always getting like the best training and the best programming, and it's like I feel like we're in a bit of like a strange the way our country is organized with sports performance. Um, I feel like we lack a cohesiveness. Like, hey, man, I'm going to build these kids up at the youth level and we're going to pass them on to you, but we're going to communicate. A lot of it is more like, no, we don't need your help, which is really, it's disappointing. So let's get a little bit of background. I'm 10 years older than you. You're in your early 30s. Let's give everybody a little bit of background about what you got going on, and then we'll just kind of let the conversation flow from there. Pole barn, right? Yeah. Let me back up for a second. So when you went out and just kind of, set up training camp, um, and Anatoly Bondarchuk is there, probably the most famous throwing strength coach, and even one of the most famous strength coaches for the guys that really follow the science. What does that look like when we say we set up training camp? Yep. Yes. Did he have like a training facility set up, or you and this guy kind of met up and started putting pieces together? I gotcha. What's kind of like some of the things that blew your mind with his training? Because we're in a that was what, 07, 08, you said? So about 10 years ago. And I think that was a unique time on the internet. As you said, there were a good handful of some really good lifting forums or some sort of like sport forums. Not so much now. I think 2007 was probably roundabout when Facebook kind of started building momentum. So people began kind of communicating that way. But that was an interesting time with training information. I think Westside Barbell methods were becoming very popular at that time. So, what are some of the things that kind of blew your mind? Because you're coming from Penn State, a top university in really all sports. And what were some of the things that you were like, damn, I never imagined I'd be training like this? 16, yep. That's right. So would you, for 60 throws, you would throw, walk up, throw? Is that what you would just do? Okay. So what do you mean, like, I'm going to play like devil's advocate and all that stuff. So get in shape for throwing. When you compete in a meet, how many throws do you get? 6. So it's crazy. He's having you do, I don't even know, 1,000% more volume than what you do. So, when he's saying throw 60 times, have you ever thrown? And that was a how heavy of a dumbbell? 40? So we're talking 300% heavier than normal, right? And 1,000% more volume than a meat. Were you like, what the fuck's going on, man? Like what, skipping and all that stuff? Yeah, and just throw. Did he kind of do like the accumulation phase, intensification phase? Hmm. Yeah. How did they supply food for you guys, or it's kind of like a Olympic training center, or no? Wow. As a bouncer. Sure. So, you're a business owner now, and just like comparing, your membership, and membership is different. Like you're in Pennsylvania, I'm in like a small beach town. My membership, our membership would be different if we were in Manhattan. So, you don't have to say price wise, but Dr. Bonnerchuk is like, if we said it's like the equivalent of like if you were a sprinter and you want to train with Charlie Francis, a powerlifter to train with Louis. Price wise, were you like, whoa, this is expensive, or is this cheap? Was he? 100 bucks a month, something like that? Yeah. Ah. Oh wow. Yep. They basically like take care of you. Yeah. He's a coach. Yes, which it's like, so let's segue a little bit here. You start training, we're gonna get into like kind of the art of coaching, the purity of being a coach. Seems like you have a lot of that going on with like your current setup. So the first setup in your parents' garage, 400 square feet, that's basically like a one car garage, right? And how'd that start? Nice. Yeah, the also around that time, like 2007, there was still a mystique behind strength coaches that were more raw, like you and I are, versus because 2007 was still, that quote unquote, yeah, it was a little bit for the CrossFit boom, and also that functional stuff of the physio balls and all that was still in. It was a little bit dying down, but stuff that we did was very attractive to like a combative football player, wrestler, thrower, and that's also who I trained out of the garage. It was wrestlers. And then the football guys came, and they were all multi-sport guys. So some of those football players threw, or they were shot putters. Some of the football players wrestled. So we didn't really get too many guys that were wanting, a functional, like, Mike Boyle in those early days really owned that world. And, and seemed like it was very much like two worlds. So that was like an interesting time. So out of that garage, then you built a shed and moved into that. Yep. Yeah. Let's talk about that because that has been, if we look at some of the, coaches out there, it's interesting. It's like, I don't know if like we just want a little more of like a peaceful life, but we look at like Rob Wolf. He was out somewhere in NorCal. I can't remember the name. I think they still own the gym, but they moved and he bought like a bunch of land in Las Vegas, but more in the mountainous areas. And John Welburn also got out of there. And your wife will tell you she's from, we're considered Central Jersey, and I'm right near the beach, but 10 minutes away, not even 5 minutes away, I could hit the farms. And it's like pretty enticing. So, what's the process look like when you're looking for a farm? And also, your wife grew up in an area where there's some farms there, but you grew up in Pennsylvania. She did not. She's a Jersey girl, so like, I wonder how that conversation looked. Oh, I took a sick day from teaching and went to they call it Rahway State Prison, but it's really it's called East Jersey. That's where they filmed Lockup with Sylvester Stallone. 2005. I wrote that in, I think, 2005. You a teacher, or were you a teacher? Yep. Yes. Great guy. Yep. How'd you learn, like, far, just because that was what you grew up around? Where are your grandparents? They're in PA also? Is is Lebanon near the Amish area? Or okay, there's a turkey farm 5 dude, I'm not gonna say 5 minutes, 2 minute car ride from my house. And so I always get my kids food there on Wednesdays, and even like their milk taste is like more rich. Yeah, and so I get the food from there, and so cool, man. So you basically raised around this. How do you look for a farm? Were you looking driving around, or were you online, or? Whoa. The property or oh, okay. What did the renovations take? Because I do see horse stall barns for sale. So what did it take? Yep. It's a lot of money, man. They love that. Yes. So when you were running the business and renovating at the same time, section by section. Yeah, and you've got kids. How many kids you got? Two kids? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you were athlete, coach, father, husband, construction worker, rebuilding stuff. Yeah, and so it's interesting. What do you think kind of like, made the switch and helped you make it work as a business? Because you're in a rural area, so people are probably understanding there, hey, we do have to drive to get there. Whereas, I had a conversation with somebody like this week, and he didn't really want to drive more than 15 minutes for his son. And, this guy also played in the NFL, and it was interesting to hear, like, okay, this guy like played in the NFL, and he doesn't want to drive more than 15 minutes. And he didn't really know much about me, but he didn't want to go to another place and wants to bring his son to us. And it was interesting to. I'm always interested to hear, like, I drive an hour for my daughter's tennis, 30 minutes for my son's baseball. Some people, if it's like 5 minutes away, they're like, no way. Or if it's a weekend, they're like, nope, I'm, I that must be a real easy life. So for you, I'm assuming people are driving probably 30 minutes. You were a state champ wrestler as a, that's right, thrower, yeah. True, yes. Why does it come down to money? Because people are more farmers and working with. Yep, yep. And I guess, right, with you, were you on scholarship at Penn State? So, yes, they will sometimes. I've noticed, like, I know a kid we trained got a 5-year scholarship to Drexel, but his first year was, I believe, a 50%, and then the next 4 years, 100%. Now, for a father, he's like, that's why I took my son to all those wrestling clubs and the underground. And now, for these next 4 years, I'm not paying. And I'm not paying. And it's, I don't know what college costs nowadays, but I'm pretty sure it's freaking crazy. That's it. So, for the four, so that's 240. So that's like 260 grand cause he got 50. That's a lot of money, man. I don't think, yeah, people, they don't realize it. And I also think, like, college coaches are really being careful more so nowadays because, if we look at 2007, 2008, at least I look back at the kids I had, they were different. I mean, we had some really unique kids that would lift at the high school for their mandatory football. Then they would like go and they'd come to the underground and lift. Then they'd go and play pickup basketball at a real tough park in our area where it was like if you could survive, then you were playing varsity basketball. These football guys did it, and they did it for their conditioning and their speed work. And now, I always hear kids like, they don't even mow the lawn. Like, or, if they do one thing, they're not doing another. So 10 years ago, I feel I was getting a different kind of kid. Well, do you feel you had different kids 10 years ago around when you started? Mm-hmm. Yes, correct. I've had, 15-year-olds tell me they don't know how to turn the stove on. Correct. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. What's weird too is those parents are coming from I'm an 80s kid, so I'm 42. Those parents who have high school kids are in their late 40s. So they grew up really in the more so the 70s than the 80s. That those were some tough times, which is very interesting to see that um, they're kind of like coddling or afraid to be intense with their kids. And so I'm always trying to kind of keep my pulse on, the kids and whatnot. What's the youngest kid you'll accept into your program over there? Yep, sure. Yep, for fun. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There was a mystique behind that stuff. Yep, true. Football, very dangerous. Right. I think when we say training, an uneducated person thinks squat deadlift, right? And still doctors today in 2017, almost 2018 are saying that will stunt your growth. Now, you live on a farm and your son, you have two boys two boys. So what's your oldest? How old is he? So Lincoln, who's 6, carries things on the farm, and that's quote unquote strength training. So I also explain to parents when they're like, well, he's going to wrestling. Is it too much? I go, listen, it wasn't that long ago when 7-year-olds were putting in, 8-hour days on a farm. 7-year-olds. I go, we need to stop being fragile. Even with, sometimes I honestly feel like with the abundance of information and the reading, I sometimes get a little bit fragile with the athletes and I worry and is it the deload or adjust the volume. And then I notice that when I do all those things, they are fragile. They become less. They lose the grit. They lose the toughness. And I've learned like we got to go hard. We have to go hard. Yep. Yep. So different. Hmm. That yeah. Right. Yeah. That's right. Well, those are the main missing links. So skipping breakfast, not sleeping. I say, okay, that's right. So back when I was in high school, okay, I had a TV in my room, but I always was like regimented where I would shut out. I was like, okay, if it's like 10 p.m., I'm shutting everything off. I don't know why or how, but I did that. And I always woke up at 6:07 and I always made myself two egg and cheese sandwiches. Yeah, 6:07. Yeah. Stupid. I know. It's if it, now it's like 5:07. It's like stupid things, but the kids don't eat, and I could really see a mile away who's eating versus who's not. The kid will plateau, and you're like, man, he's just not getting stronger this month. Hey, tell me about breakfast. Oh, here we go, dude. I'm like, here we go, man. And yes, it's crazy. So you're also you guys have animals on the farm, right? So a couple years ago, one of our coaches was training some adults, and these two girls, their family owned a farm, but I think they were just selling. They weren't selling like food or anything. I feel like they were selling things like hay and like mulch and stuff like that. But they brought eggs one morning to the gym and gave me eggs, and man, over half of them were twin yolks, and they were like dark orange. So why are those? I don't get that when I buy them from Shoprite. Good, yeah, I'll link that up, man. I love that. I do love that handle. What's the rapper? Ghostface Killer or something? Or when I read that, I was thinking of Curb Your Enthusiasm with Larry David. He had one of the rappers on. I think it was Crazy Eyes Killer. Crazy Eyes Killer. It's like Crazy Eyes. So go ahead. Okay. So what do you just? They just eat. So they're running. Your chicken's kind of running around, and the Ah, okay. Yeah. Do you have any protector animals on your farm to Right, you got hawks, you got fox. What else in Pennsylvania is we don't have do we have bobcats or stuff like that out this way or yes. Yeah, there were, your wife would know this area. I'm in this little beach town, but when I first moved here, there were foxes. And I remember taking out my garbage, and a fox trotted right down the road by me. My neighbor was like, "Oh my God!" And it was kind of big. I mean, I've seen most foxes look like a little dog. This thing looked like it was a good 35, 40 pounds, and it was kind of like a bigger one. And I found, was it rabbits or squirrels? I think I found a bunch of squirrels like scattered on my sidewalk, and I was like, "Damn!" I think the fox got them. They were alive, and so it's interesting. Here I'm near the beach, but there's like wooded areas where sometimes there's a pond right near me. I was walking my dog, and there was a pretty big deer back there, and I heard the hooves. I was like, I don't see those things so often, and where I used to live up in near that Rutgers area, I'd see a lot of raccoons, and I once saw such a big raccoon. I remember I was with my wife in the car, and I was like, "Holy shit!" It looked like it ate another animal. It like waddled across the road. It was huge, and my pit bull was attacked by some raccoons, and for like 3 4 weeks he was like, you couldn't even go near him. His like neck was all jacked up, and I had to set animal traps because when I called animal control, they're like, we're out of animal traps. We only have like 4 animal traps. The town is huge. They're like, we won't have it for another 6 weeks. They're like, but if you get an animal trap, we'll pick it up. My neighbor had a shed behind, and I guess they were underneath it. I was catching raccoons and baby raccoons with peanut butter on an apple every day, and they were vicious. So I know you got like 5, 6, 7 minutes going on. Talk to us about when you're training athletes, or at least as far as organizing. I've seen groups there. Do you say, hey, this is the time for football, this is the time for weightlifters, or is it kind of you're ready to go at all times? And who's coaching? Is it just you, or how are you running that now? Yep. Wow. Hmm. Interesting. What about like business things you've learned with now? It seems like you've got a lot of coaches. Kids are paying the coaches, they pay you, you pay the coaches. How does that work? Yep. Yeah. Do those guys have full-time jobs and they coach kind of as in it? Really? So how many hours are those guys, is everybody coaching? You guys do one-on-one stuff or no? Yep. Don't want to do it. I agree. It's more powerful to be in a group. Yeah. With a team. Yeah. Yep. That's right. Yep. Ah, we got to talk about that. Yep. Yes, we had a guy that uh, I don't think it was his son, but he was coaching the kid to pitch. Kid was like 6'7", 6'8", and I think baseball kind of comes from that one-on-one mentality because my son plays baseball and I see the way the coaching stuff works. And I said to him, I go, look, I'm not gonna, I don't do one-on-one. If you want to, here's the price. But I go, he'll be on a different program. But I go, put him in a group. They'll be better. They did not want to do it. I know you got to go, and I didn't touch on earth-fed muscle. I think that's really interesting what you're doing there. I'd like to hear, just talk to us about, how are these supplements even made? It's pretty cool what you have going on, and we'll have to do a part two. Sure, I'd love to hear it. Yeah, I'm taking notes, so when you see me looking down, yep. hmm This is This is why I don't. And look, we work with athletes, and I know that there's all these studies done, and I'm always so like I know this thing was approved and it's good to go and it's the gold standard. Then all of a sudden they do a study on a new batch, and they're like, guess what? That's yeah. And then you're like, fuck, I've been telling all these 15-year-olds to take this, and it's really, yeah, and it's also just such a slippery slope of, and they need it. They need to have these protein shakes. So go ahead. And they could randomly just come in. I was at Travis Mash's place. They just walked in, and two people had to go get a urine test. Yep. Yep. Every month, right? Yeah. Nice. I love it. So, what do you guys have? I know you have protein, right? What else? What's the difference of whey and casein, like real quick, if you could explain to others? Curbs the appetite a little bit. Yep. Yep. And really, like, if I say, hey, here's what my own kids do. They get a multi, they get magnesium, they get zinc, they get C, so they would need a good multi. My son eats a lot, but when he gets, and even like now, like I told you, I'm driving an hour, so my daughter's eating the turkey farm food on the way to tennis, then on the way back, she's having Greek salad with chicken. But my son, he's going to be more like a lot of these boys I train, lift, wrestling club. You need a protein shake. You can't go, you can't have lunch at 10:30 a.m. at high school and then not eat till 7 p.m. Like it's just all going to backfire, and then it looks like your training doesn't work because you're not eating. So very cool, man. So I know you got to run, and I'm gonna link up all show notes. We'll reconnect. I'll link up. I've got your 2 Instagram accounts. Your website is garagegymstrength.com. GarageStrength.com, my bad. EarthFedMuscle.com. And anything else just for the audio, or yep, I'll link that up. Nice. Cool. I will link everything up. Maybe I'll text you or we'll email. We'll get that stuff going. And hopefully we meet soon. I mean, we're not that far away. I don't know if your wife's family still lives up here. Do they? Yes. Absolutely, man. You guys should come down, and like I've got 2 crazy kids, so you should bring your kids too, man. What do you? Is there one of the weightlifting events? Oh, it's in Anaheim, so you're flying out. That's right. Okay. Very cool, man. This was great, Dane. We're gonna have to do a part two to kind of dig deeper with everything. Cool. I appreciate it, and everybody, thanks for listening. Strong Life Podcast. Dane, have an awesome day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.